Has there ever been a gun that you wanted so bad that you had such high expectations for? It's all you could think about. No other gun could take its place. And then you finally get it. The day comes and you bring it home. You load it up. You go out to shoot it. And it doesn't go bang. I'm going to talk about my situation. I'm going to talk about my dream gun. And that's exactly what happened to me. The firearm in question is the Omega Firearms Gideon Shadow, which is a UMP, an H&K UMP 45 clone. Pretty cool gun. I had always wanted one. I've got several MP5s, but this UMP is really what I was wanting. And what happened was I did a trade for a gun, and the guy that had it told me that he had sent it back to Omega Firearms several times, and the gun just wasn't reliable. It would feed a few rounds, and then it would double feed, or it wouldn't extract the spent casing. It just had a multitude of malfunctions. He sent it back. The factory worked on it. They sent it back to him, and he said it just wasn't right. He was fed up with it. He spent quite a bit of money on it, and I don't blame him. So I traded him. I got a really good deal on it, and what happened was I loaded up several different types of ammo, and sure enough, the thing just wouldn't run. It was totally unreliable. A lot of the times it wouldn't even strip the first round out of the mag, and I would only load 5 or 10 rounds in the mag, thinking maybe it was spring, the mag spring, too much tension. That wasn't it. It would just tear the casings up. It would push the bullets down in the case, and it was horrible. So I sent an email off to Omega Firearms, and Wade, I believe is the owner, got back to me. And I told him what had happened, what I had done. I gave him the serial number and the copies of the emails that he was corresponding with the previous owner. And he assured me that he would take care of me, even though I wasn't the original purchaser. So I started thinking, hey, that's pretty good. I might get somewhere with this. He told me that they had problems with the batch of barrels that they had received and installed and sold the guns. So he asked that I would remove the barrel, send it to him. He would replace it, and he would send me a new one as a replacement. So I did that. Maybe 2 weeks rolls around, I get the new barrel, which was this guy here. So their barrels are threaded, and what they include is a tri-lug setup here that threads on, and the barrels are threaded. What are they? 11 16ths by 24, and then with this tri-lug. So I get this barrel. This is the barrel that they sent me. I install that in the gun. I just knew I was going to be ready to shoot. Took it out and the gun just went click. It stripped around, but it just gave me a light primer strike. That's odd. Cleared that round. The next one wouldn't feed. The next one wouldn't feed. Got one to feed. It went bang, and then nothing. And I tried different ammos, different mags. basically having the same exact problems, but worse. Because prior to getting this barrel, the other barrel with it installed, the gun was maybe 70-80% functional, reliable. This barrel, it just wouldn't work. I mean, you might get one round to fire, and then you just tear your ammo up. You know, at the time, this was 5 or 6 years ago, the ammo was pretty high priced, and I just didn't want to waste 45 ACP ammo tearing this up. So we swapped some emails, and I just wasn't feeling sending it back. And they assured me it was a barrel issue. They had a new batch of barrels. I get it. The gun doesn't work. So what I do is I went online and found an actual H&K 45 ACP barrel for original H&K UMP. So I get this barrel for the tune of $475. Slap it in the gun. The gun runs 100%. Runs great. Not a hiccup. I went through 200 rounds of ammo, and it ran great. I'm like, all right, well, this is awesome. Except for one thing. I had bought this gun to suppress. That's really what I wanted it for, was to suppress it. Well, this H&K barrel has got this flange mount, and it takes a very unique suppressor. There's no threads. Well, at the time, I already had a suppressor, and it was not going to be compatible with this barrel. So now, I got the gun working. I got the gun that'll function, but I can't suppress it. So you think I'd be happy, right? The gun's working. Well, I wasn't. Well, I sent a couple more emails to Gideon, or to Omega Firearms about this Gideon, and they wanted me to send it all back in, and I just wasn't feeling it. I go online, and I go to HK Parts. I find a HDPS barrel, and according to the internets, they say that the HDPS barrels are the best out there. Problem solved. Okay, so I order one of those barrels at the tune of $375, something like that. So, well, let's put this in perspective. I've got roughly a $1,500 clone of an HK rifle. Oh, let's rewind. Hold on. Let's rewind. I forgot a crucial part of the story. While I was waiting on replies back from Omega Firearms about the original barrel, I had not purchased another barrel yet. Let's go back to that part of the story. So I'm waiting for them to figure out what they're going to do. I go online and I find a 40 Smith & Wesson HK barrel and a 40 Smith & Wesson bolt carrier, complete with the firing pin, extractor, the springs, everything. This is the original full auto version, so you have to modify. You have to machine off dimensions. There are areas you have to machine to get it to fit in the receiver to work as a semi-auto. I'm like, let's do it. Well, I buy the barrel and the bolt carrier for 40 Smith & Wesson to convert it from 45 ACP to 40 Smith & Wesson. And I believe the one magazine, the bolt carrier, and the 40 cal actual HK. So this is actual an H&K magazine and original HK bolt and HK barrel for about $700. I did it because everywhere else I found them were about $1,400. So I spend $700 on a bolt, barrel, and a mag. I drop it in the gun, and the thing runs 100%. It's running great. Okay, well, that's good news. But that HK barrel I bought has got the flange set up. It's not a threaded barrel. It's flange for the B&T style, B&T suppressor that uses this flange setup that doesn't work with traditional suppressors. So I bought the gun, wanted to suppress it. I was happy that it's now working, but I can't suppress it in 40 cal. Like, but it worked. The gun's running. I was ecstatic. So what do? I go online and buy an H&K 45 ACP barrel with the same flange setup that HK uses. Drop it in the gun. 45 ACP runs. It runs great. Okay, that's awesome. It's running in 40. It's running in 45. But I still can't suppress it, and that was the whole point of me getting this gun, was to suppress it. So I do the trade, and whatever the trade value for this gun, I don't know what we valued it at with the trade. It was maybe $700 or $800. So then I spend $700 for a bolt, barrel, and magazine, and another $475 for another barrel. Now the gun's working, but I can't suppress it. So have I mentioned that I'm an idiot? Yeah, I just wanted to get that out. So I go online, I look around some more. I'm going on the forums. I'm swapping some emails back with Omega Firearms. They want me to send the whole gun off to them after they had assured me that the barrel that they sent me, this barrel they sent me, would fix it, and it didn't. I just didn't have faith in sending my whole gun to them, knowing that it does work with the HK barrels and a HK 40 cal conversion. But it really made me think that it's not the gun, it really is the barrel, but they just don't know what they're doing. I go on HK Parts after reading a couple forums and find HDPS threaded barrel in 45 ACP. Now, the internet's claimed that this is the go-to barrel. They have great quality. This would fix all my problems. Okay. Order the barrel. I order another barrel, $350, $370. And it's threaded 16-1 left-hand thread. I get the barrel in. I install it in the gun, and it runs great. I'm like, okay, well, now I have two HK barrels that run great. I have this HDPS barrel that's threaded. I can throw my suppressor on. It runs great. I finally have my UMP clone running 100% reliably with a suppressor like I wanted. I'm out a whole crap ton of money. My gosh. So I really get to thinking about this. All this money I just spent for this gun, I could have went and got a Tommy built, but I'm an idiot. I think I said that already. So I really wanted to know why this barrel wasn't working. Why didn't this barrel work? Got to looking at it, and I was a machinist at one time. I got my calipers out. I took some measurements. I basically reverse engineered, made a blueprint of the HDPS barrel that I bought. Then I did basically the same thing for the HK barrel. I compared the two. Most everything was within a couple thousandths. I'm talking, like this flange that's here at the bottom of the barrel. The chamber, just all these dimensions, the shoulder. I was just measuring everything. The notch that the barrel pin goes through. These two barrels, this HK and the HDPS that works that I ordered, they were really close. The specs were just so close. Well, then I did the same to this, Omega barrel that they'd sent me that did not work. This is the barrel that didn't work. I got to measuring all these different dimensions, putting it on paper, looking at it. The one thing that I noticed was this bottom flange. You can see the two flanges. See them sticking up there. The flange on this Omega barrel was thicker. And when this slides into the receiver, there is a shelf that this sits on. This sits on part of the receiver. But it went in. Well, I got to thinking about it, and what was happening was rounds were loading and getting pushed. They were always getting jammed up at this angle and pushing the barrel or pushing the bullet in, and they were always ramming the top of the chamber. Well, I got to thinking, like, well, this is thicker. I started taking measurements, if the flange was in the same place. This, I guess you can call it's more of a feed ramp, is what it would be. And it was pretty much the feed ramp was in the same position on this barrel than the other two. And I'm talking same position, side to side on this circumference, and from the top of this shoulder down, everything was the same. It just was thicker. So I don't have a lathe or a mill. I just went out on my bench grinder and I ground off the bottom of this flange, this feed ramp. I ground it down, took the calipers to it, ground it down, took calipers, got it really close to these other two barrels, dropped this barrel in, the gun ran free. So I could have ground this down for free versus spending another, where are we at now? 700, 7, 8, 9, 10,000, 13, 14. So I spent $1,400 ish ballpark on 3 other barrels and the bolt and another mag for the conversion. Basically, I could have bought 2 of these guns, and all I had to do was ground down the bottom of that barrel. If you're looking at a Omega UMP 45 clone and it doesn't run, that's your fix, more than likely. Thin that sucker down, and it won't. What it was doing was it was installed in the gun. It was putting pressure on the back of the barrel there. When you drive the pin in, it just was kicked up just enough that it was causing feed problems. Bench grinder took care of it. It's an awesome gun. It really is. So let's see some footage of it running. All right, well, now that I told you the story of how I took the gun that didn't work, spent a whole bunch of money to get it to work, and it was actually a free fix. Do you actually want to see a review of this gun? Down in the comments below, let me know if you want to see me actually do a review, talk about the specs, tear the gun down, show you swapping the parts, barrel conversion, caliber conversion, whatnot. Yeah, down in the comments below. Well, let me know if you want to see that full review. But thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me through this. I wanted to tell this story because this is a gun I really love, and I really wanted to get this thing working. So over here, hit the subscribe button. Over here in this area, check out some of the other videos. I really appreciate you. I'm Round Guy. We'll catch you on the next one.